Good evening, viewers. We're so glad you could join us this evening. My name is Wamboi Maora.
And my name is Blaze Ogutu, and this is Eunoia.
Eunoia.
Eunoia?
Eunoia,
Eunoia
Blaze.
or Eunoia?
Eunoia, Blaze.
Okay, 100% sure. Do you know what it means?
Well, loosely translated, it means wellness of mind or beautiful thinking.
Do you actually know what it meant?
I
Or you
knew
just
that,
read
Blaze.
it?
I knew that.
100%?
Yes.
Did background research?
Yes.
Well and good. So on this show, we cover different topics across different aspects that affect youth in Kenya and across the world.
It offers a platform where we discuss informative topics, engaging topics. Yeah.
So this week we'll be tackling alcoholism, drug and substance abuse in relation to mental wellness of a person and the youth in general.
Yes, and we're having with us on set 3 guests. We have 2 recovered alcoholics, and we also have a psychologist and mental health expert. And later on in the show, we'll have a performance by a very wonderful artist, so stay tuned to see that.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to the show.
Yeah.
And what about the statistics, now that we're actually getting into alcoholism and drug and substance abuse?
Well, I was actually reading one report, and they were saying that youths between 15 to 19 are actually the most affected when it comes to alcoholism. Can you imagine that?
So it's usually those young kids who start it out with a sip, saying, one sip won't kill you, but you know what they say about the journey of 1,000 miles, and not that Vanessa Carlton song. Anyway, so it's really something, it's a discussion that needs to be had, and that's why we are here. So yeah.
So I know the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have started now to see more cases of alcoholism, and so it will be great to look into what are some of the factors that are leading to all these elements.
And then a study I'd seen said that study was done in 2016, and almost over 200 million men and 46 million women actually survivors of people who are diagnosed with alcohol-related mental disorders. So
quite some huge numbers.
It's not looking very pretty out here, folks.
Yes.
So yeah.
So later on in the show also, we'll have a performance by one very important artist. So you want to stick around to see who that is.
Yes. So make sure you stick around. We'll be back after these short messages.
Stay tuned.
So, welcome back to the show. You are watching Eunoia with me, Blaze, and Wamboi. Remember, you can continue being interactive on our social media at Channel 7, and the hashtag is Beautiful Thinking. So for the second part of the show, I'll be having a guest, and his name is Mutua Mugambi. And it's time to welcome the second guest, obviously, and enough waffling from me. So let's get on to the guest. Mr. Mugambi, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. It's
so,
my pleasure.
First of all, I want you to introduce yourself. Just a short introduction of who Mutua Mugambi is.
Thank you so much. I'm Mutua Mugambi, as you've heard. I'm a recovering alcoholic, which I am.
Yeah.
At least I hope I am.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer by profession. Also a writer. Yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Yeah. So you've mentioned you're a lawyer. So is it something you have always wanted to do, or is it something that you stumbled upon?
No, I really wanted to do law since I was a small kid.
Yeah.
I actually had other options, but I was inclined towards law.
So you wanted to hold a gavel, like become a judge and stuff, or it's...
No, I was interested in litigation, litigation, being active in court, but over time I'm more so of an indoors lawyer nowadays.
So you've mentioned you're a recovering addict, and could you just walk us through like the journey from the start, what got you into alcoholism, and just generally your life story?
Well, my life story, well, maybe I would start with my first interaction with alcohol, which is not myself, but through someone I'm associated with, my father. And I think he was super addicted to alcohol when I was young. He would come home singing, super drunk. Sometimes there were instances of, you know what comes along with alcohol. He was, I would call my dad also, I think he was alcoholic, because most of the nights would come home injured, with injuries. Sometimes he would come home without teeth. But right now he's okay. But at a particular stage in life, I don't remember exactly where I was then, but he suddenly quit alcohol. And he became very responsible. He was always there. And I remember one day walking home, and I asked my dad, "Oh, Dad, mbona uliacha pombe?" And he told me my tanki zangu ziliisha. So he was not super direct about, I think he was embarrassed to explain to me what alcohol had taken him through, but I was rather curious. So I'd never had any lessons about alcohol or anything, but I somehow abhorred it. I didn't like it. But in Form 3, now I was in a school back in the village. I was very good in drama. I was very good in drama and debate clubs, and I was very good. I love that line. And during the drama festivals, all my colleagues most of my colleagues or my classmates would sneak out and come back to school with these spirits, and then they'll take shots, and then it looked so cool. Then, and I think I had a sip. It was super nasty, so I spit it out, and that period I never took alcohol, but I went home again. And there's a particular friend of mine. I remember I was stressed. I had a few issues here and there, mostly attributed to family issues. A friend of mine called, I won't mention his name, called me. He was a colleague. He was a classmate. So he told me, kuja nikuonyeshe penye nitakupeleka. I had some money, and we bought alcohol. And I remember the next day I woke up in a hospital. That's my first interaction with alcohol. I woke up in a hospital, and apparently I'd done a lot of damage. I'd done a lot of damage at home. I went home fighting. I almost fought everybody at home. That should have been a red flag then. But see, I was young. I think I was stupid. I took a hiatus from alcohol, and then back. Fast forward, I'm in campus. I'm in full control of my life. There's a lot of peer pressure, and currently the way the society is placed, the way the society functions is that anyone who doesn't take alcohol is an outsider. So in an attempt to look cool, I slowly came back to the habit. No, that's now how I started taking alcohol.
So you've mentioned your father, obviously, and I think it leads to some parents don't actually know the impact that they have on their kids. And you've also mentioned the fact that your first attempt at alcohol, your first real attempt, let me put it that way, you didn't remember what transpired. So all of these were just stories that were being told. Like, you did this, you did that. That was the case, right? Yeah. So then you've said you're a writer. Before the show, I was reading one of your articles you wrote on WordPress, and it's called 2 Years Now, I think. So you mentioned, that's where you mentioned one of the instances that you, one of the drinking sprees that you were on when you watched the Champions League in 2015. Funny enough, you're not a Messi fan, which it's a bit. So is it, and then you mentioned your friend, then your brother. So how is the dynamic between the three of you now? Like, let's say your friend, then your brother.
Well, my funny enough, my brother, my elder brother, doesn't take alcohol. Yeah. But he also had a stint with alcohol. Yeah. I think I'm not sure. Maybe this might require now a professional speaking about it. I'm not sure if there are some people who are more predisposed to alcohol than others, because my reaction to alcohol is not someone else's reaction to alcohol. I have friends who drink and they are okay, but the moment I drink, I black out. I don't remember. Anything. Like I will literally be in a trench or anything. So one of my friends takes alcohol, but my brother doesn't take alcohol at all, and I also don't drink.
No. So currently, you like completely.
I'm 5 years sober now.
5 years. That's nice. 5 years is a really long time.
Thank
5 years from now is finishing high school, so you can just tell. And so then back to that article, you mentioned something about depression, like you had bouts of depression, feeling sad, till to the point where if you don't drink, you get depressed because you're not high, or while you're drinking, you just want to get even more drunk. Can you shed more light on that?
What happens, maybe from my personal experience, I won't say what happens. What I understand is that the moment you start using this drug, in the first days it's cool, because now it's fun, and it's sort of fun, but slowly you start spiraling towards some sort of a hole that you eventually, I was in a place where I was super lonely. Had messed up with almost every aspect of my life, every aspect, I would say, family, finances, career. I would look like this, and I would see no future or no end. But the only maybe the only thing that I looked forward to was a bottle or drinking. And funny enough, I used to drink. Initially, I started with friends, but it got to a point where I would drink alone. I would go to, you see these Coca-Cola bottles, the 2 liters. I would go to a keg joint, tell the mama hapo nijazie, and then I would go with like 4 liters of keg at home, and then I would drink overnight, and then tomorrow I would feel like I need more and more and more. So it was more so like a
domino effect. You just keep on.
You just keep on falling into a dark place. And at a point I was suicidal. I won't lie. At a point I was, I felt useless. So very useless. About I could not see any. I could not see like a future in myself. I was super suicidal. But now, gladly, there were some people around me who. People came the moment they noted. I withdrew from people. But now, a person like my mother is super close to me. She would always call. Actually, my mother thought I was bewitched. So, so she was taking me to church, praying for me, giving me these sacramentals, rosaries, and everything. Super praying for me. I remember at a point I went to the priest. She's a Catholic, a staunch Catholic. The priest, the Catholic. They're called these evangelical priests. They prayed for me, gave me some sacramentals, and I think that played a very pivotal role in my now recovery, because I started feeling accepted slowly. But now the person who triggered that, I would say,
was your mom. So you've mentioned the word trigger, and leads me to the question. If you could point out, if possible, what were some of the triggers that pulled you towards alcoholism, apart from obviously the peer pressure or the feeling of wanting to be cool?
I think there's the freedom aspect, the fact that now I'm totally in control of my life. The bigger part was friends, and also being young and a passionate human being. there were some instances with some women.
Yeah.
So that all those now combined would slowly took me towards this. I saw this as a console, as a some consolation for me.
So it was more of a combination of things
Definitely.
that culminated into you. Like it's just small bits that brings you to.
Yeah, I cannot tell the exact moment I would say I was alcoholic, but I cannot place a finger on the exact moment now I would say, oh, my life is super bad, but I was slowly spiraling to some hole without myself realizing about it.
Okay, so finally, you mentioned in your article, again, I'll keep on referencing, the importance of friends and family, how they played an important role in you coming back. And you've mentioned your mother. Is there anyone else who helped you on your road to recovery?
Yeah, I have a girlfriend. The good thing about people accepting you, it makes you feel some sort of importance the moment people now start bringing you to their lives and showing you, in as much as you have all these imperfections, this is allowable. So there's my girlfriend who, she saw me through it. Even when I quit alcohol and I told her about it, she was in disbelief, and well, no one could believe me. And I think also my friends, the moment I told I had to keep away from some friends, but there are some friends that I told about it, and because they knew where I was at that particular stage in life, they thought it was a good decision, and they supported me through it.
Okay, so key thing is always having a support group, and which it's something that I totally agree with, and I think our audience there definitely would agree to it. And so, yeah, I think we are going to take a very short break, but thank you so much for coming on the show and being so open in talking about something that not that many people actually do talk about, which is battling alcoholism. And it's good to know that you are 5 years free now, and that you are going to, like, you're on the right path and you're enjoying what you're doing now as a lawyer. So when we come back, it will be my co-host, Wambui Mwaura, with our other guests. So as they say, stay put.
International Day of Drug and Illicit Trafficking. Hiyo shada weka chini.
Hiyo tei weka chini.
Hiyo fegi weka chini.
Drop it. You know better. Better knowledge and better care. Don't hurt your neighbor and don't hurt your friends.
Remember, addiction is a disease just like any other. Don't be ashamed, don't be afraid, don't hesitate to ask for help. Reach out to Desta Compassionate and Care Center, Nuru Counseling Center, or any other mental health practitioner for help. Thank you.
Welcome back to the show, Eunoia, right here on Channel 7. I will be your host to take you through this segment. My name is Wambui Mwaura. We have with us in the studio 2 guests who will help us unpack the topic. Don't forget to continue engaging us on our social media, that is Channel 7. And remember to use the hashtag Beautiful Thinking. So the topic today, we are going to be talking about mental health. And of course, we are very privileged to have a live audience with us. Later on, we'll be taking questions from them. Thank you very much. So I'll just get right into it. We have 2 guests. We have Nina, who is a recovering alcoholic, and we have with us Dr. Kamau. But I'll let you guys introduce yourself and tell us more about. I'll start with you, Nina. Who is Nina?
Hello, my name is Nina Naliaka Wangusi. I am 24 years old. I'm passionate about performing arts and traveling, and I am a recovering alcoholic.
You're welcome, Nina.
Thank you.
And you, Daktari?
Thank you. I'm Dr. Kamau. I'm a mental health expert. Equally, I'm also a practicing doctor psychiatrist, and are actually in the same field. Thank you.
Okay, before we delve into the topic, remember you can text us on the number 7732 and also send in your comments and your questions, and later on we'll look at this on our social media. Now, we cannot ignore the impact that alcoholism and substance abuse is having in our community. Of late, it's beginning to look like a pandemic. So this is a discussion that we need to have. And to help us with this, I'll start with you, Nina. I'm sure you don't just wake up and start, taking alcohol. Where did this begin? Give us a brief description of your journey.
Growing up, I found my dad being an alcoholic, so I never knew him as a sober man. Until now, he's still an alcoholic. We are praying that he will recover too. They separated with my mom when I was still young, so we grew up in different homes with our aunts. And so when I got to high school, my mom took me in, and apparently she had also gotten that behavior of partying and just drinking, but she used to work. So I used to admire the fact that she could go at night to clubs and party, and then in the morning she would still go to work. So I used to really admire that. I think that was one of the things that made me start drinking, because I knew I would still function. I would not be like my father. If my mother took it and she could function, I would do it too. So she would come home with alcohol and put it in the fridge. So anytime I would be going to pick something in the fridge, I would test kidogo, and then I would go on with my business. So it was not really a problem. It was just for fun. So when I finished my Form 4, my mom passed, and we were taken in by our uncle again. And I was really uncomfortable with that, because he was not that... Okay, he was there, but he would not listen to us. Like, I would have something really bothering me, but I could not tell him. And I used to feel like my sister was so superior, I could not talk to her. I used to feel like I could not talk to anyone. So anytime I would go out and drink, I would come back and be really free to speak out. I would really talk about the issues that I was dealing with. And it was just something I used to do to cope.
Okay.
Yes. So when I joined campus, I moved out. I went to stay alone, and I did stay alone for 4 years. I was given the freedom to just, experience life, and it was really tough, because now I had the freedom. I had the alcohol there. I could just take it whenever I wanted to. So by the time I was realizing I was coming back to my senses, I had been discontinued in campus. Like, my life had just stagnated. Nothing was going on. I had bad relationship with everyone. Yeah, it was just messy.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you for that, Nina. When we're looking at statistics, they're showing that 13 to 15-year-olds are the most vulnerable when it comes to alcohol and substance abuse. That first time that you took alcohol, how old were you?
I was in Form 3. That is, I was 15, 16.
So you were young.
Yes, I was young.
And how did you access that? Is it in your mom's fridge, as you said?
Yes, it was in the fridge. It was just there.
Okay.
Yes.
And so take us through the journey of that point where you felt like, because when you started, I'm sure it was fun. But can you tell us that point where you felt like, I think I might be overdoing this, and you felt like, okay, I think I'm in trouble? Did you have that moment?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about it.
So I was in campus. I was in third year, Kenyatta University. So I started missing classes, and I just started feeling overwhelmed with everything. My house became I used to feel like my house is a hole. I would go stay with other people because I don't want to go back to that house, because if I go there, I just feel I'm lonely. I just feel I just hated being there alone. I wanted to be with people, but then again, I did not want to be with people. Anytime I was with people, I would just drink. Okay. So when I realized I'm not going to school, my friends, their life is going on, like they're doing things, and me, I'm just there. There's nothing going on. I started feeling like, I think I need to go maybe to rehab. I think I need to talk to someone. And I wanted to go to Madare. I wanted to take myself there, but I did not have the courage to do that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that. And I think at this point, we'll now talk to you, Dr. Kamau. What do you have to say about the statistics, of course, which are saying that 13 to 15-year-olds are the most impacted? And of course, you can see that Nina began at an early age. What do you think is the reason that young people in our community are beginning to have to do substance abuse?
Okay, thank you. The issue of alcohol and substance abuse probably has been misunderstood, but from a medical perspective, one is, we normally say substance and alcohol abuse is, first of all, it is a behavioral disorder. A behavioral disorder means this is, a behavior is learned. So this is something that is learned. You learn a behavior from something or from somewhere or from somebody. And of course, with time, a behavior becomes a pattern, and it also becomes a personality. All issues of substance and alcohol abuse are behavioral issues. They are learned from somewhere. That's one thing. The second phase of it, because substance and alcohol abuse has two phases. There is a phase of a learned behavior, and also there is a phase of a medical situation whereby the person either is learning from something, or he might have experienced some issues in life. So it is more of a coping mechanism, even as she has said. Listening to her story also, I'm capturing a number of things that the issues she went through, issues of grief, issues of loss, the issue of separation, which affect everybody, family issues, relationship issues, those are fundamental issues of life. Nobody is too strong when it comes to issues of breakup in families. And I think at the point where she got vulnerable, exposed, we call it predisposition, is the point where the father and the mother were separated. There were no issues of authority. There were no aspect of who is going to give direction. So of course you can see she is only a representative of a certain fraction of the issues that affect the community outside there. Yeah, so to her, well, she learned it from of course you've heard her saying she learned it from the mother. And at the same time now, when she had the freedom, she was learning, she was trying to run away from something. So if you understand that, now, at that particular point, when you're dealing with a person battling alcoholism and substance abuse, I normally say the most important thing is not at the point of condemnation, because she wanted someone to listen to her. The most important thing, or the first thing when you're dealing with an alcoholic patient, is an understanding. How did we arrive here? What happened? Because at that particular point, you'll be able to pick out the issues that led her to where she is, or the issue that led the patient to where he or she is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Kamau. And I think now we have to look at how does substance abuse impact our mental health? And probably I could come back to you, Nina. How did it impact your mental health? What are the things that probably you would do when you are under the influence, and generally your state of mind? Please give us your take.
One of the main things that I used to do is getting into fights. Like I would just get agitated because of nothing. Yeah, and then I used to self-harm too many times. Like I would just walk at 1 a.m. and I'm a lady. I would walk alone. Like I wouldn't mind where I'm walking. I would not care. Like I would just go. Yeah, and then there's a point I reached. I really, really wanted to feel a lot of pain, but I was afraid. I did not want to jump from a rooftop or to cut myself. So I used to smoke cigarettes, and then I burned myself right here. So yeah, I just used to do some things that would self-harm.
Okay.
Yes.
And before we come back to you, Dr. Kamau, on the aspect of mental health, why do you think that young people are the ones who easily get addicted to alcohol and substance abuse? Why the young people?
Of course, everything starts with, see, even the old person who is taking alcohol, who at one particular point in his or her life was young. So you see, the natural order of life is a seed first, then before you come to the fruit. Okay, that's a natural order. And of course, young people, one, they're energetic. They are also inquisitive. And see, if, like Nina is saying, if she did see it from the mother, she's also, the mother is a hero or the father is a hero. If it is being taken by the parent, then it is not bad. Why should I not take it? So, that is the issue of young people learning it from the older people. See, it's a learned thing. Okay. Two, it's that teenage phase, of course. Teenage phase, the age between 13 and 20, that is a phase characterized by experimentation and foolishness, and also the issue of rebellion, truancy among the teenagers. Yeah, not only that drug and substance abuse happen in that phase, even issues of mental conditions start to develop at that particular phase. So two things are the interplay. A phase whereby incubation of many conditions develop in the teenage phase, and two, also learning or rather behavioral disorders also take place within that phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before we progress further, we're just going to have a look at some of the comments on our social media. There's one comment here from Kisumu, and the person is saying, loving the conversation, this kind of content should be pushed to the public and create more awareness. Thank you for that. And Daktari, as we continue, some people would ask, what is addiction? You know, we just hear the word being thrown around, like, what is addiction? Yeah, how would you describe addiction, and what are some of the forms of addictions? I think we should get into that.
Yeah, well, addiction, first of all, is a medical condition. It's a medical term. As a medical condition, we call it addiction disorder. So this is a situation whereby a person is either addicted to things or to substances which he or she cannot be able to function normally without. That's why it becomes a disorder. You can't normally, in an order, you can't function in an orderly manner, either without this thing or without this substance. Because you can be addicted to things, you can also be addicted to substances. And currently, you can also be addicted, like currently you have two modern addictions. We have pornographic addiction, that is a sexual addiction, which is very, 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 very dangerous. And also you have gambling, yeah. This aspect of gambling. See, so, and addiction also have levels, it has evolutions. It can evolve from one level to another. So, simple definition of addiction is a medical disorder whereby a person cannot function normally without being attached or without taking that thing, without taking that substance he or she is taking. Yeah. So it can be alcohol, it can be drugs, it can be hard drugs, it can be anything. Yeah. So just an understanding that addiction is a medical condition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we need to, maybe we need to look at what are some of the, you have described to us what addiction is. So what are some of the types of addictions?
Okay, we have two types of addiction. Let me say three types of addiction. We have physical addiction, where you are addicted to things, maybe doing some things at a particular time, or addicted to issues like clothes and cars, and whatever such physical addiction. We have mental addiction now, where your mind, for instance, cannot function either without seeing something, or hearing something, or tasting something. Or put this way, a mental addiction affects the five senses. Yeah, and then you have what we call the spiritual addiction. You know, these are religious fanatics. You are addicted to religion, and it's more of an occult. You see, that's something that has never been discussed, but it's good that members of the public should be aware of. Everybody should know that we have physical addiction, we have mental or psychological addiction, and we have spiritual addiction. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And before we go into what exactly is the driving force behind addictions, we're going to go for a short commercial break. We are glad that you're still with us. Keep the comments coming. We'll be right back after the commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. We're so glad you could join us right here on Eunoia on Channel 7. Today we are joined by members, live members in the audience, and also we have two guests who are helping us unpack the topic. I will read some of your comments. We have a comment here from Mombasa. Thank you, Nina, for sharing your story. We are so glad that you're in a better place. We have also another comment from Marsabit, from Mohammed, and he's saying, addiction is a response to a pleasurable feeling because the pleasurable feeling reinforces the behavior. The more pleasure they get, the more they'll keep on doing what they're doing. Thank you for that, Mohammed. And Dr. Kamau, we're going to talk about what is the driving force behind addiction. And also if you could talk about what are some of the effects of alcohol addiction and substance abuse?
There's no specific driving force behind addiction, because addiction depends on which category one is in. If it is a behavior, if it is a behavioral problem, then I think that behavior will continue being reinforced as far as the person is in contact with the substances he or she is using. Then the issue of if it is within the category of underlying conditions, like I said, many of the substance abusers and alcoholism and substance abuse, many of the victims, normally 99% of them are suffering from other underlying conditions like depression and anxiety. So they're into substances courtesy of a coping mechanism. That's one thing, which as far as management is concerned is good to understand that, so that when you're dealing with people in this phase, either you don't become too harsh on them, or you don't become judgmental, because the moment you understand that this person might have gone through, I'm giving an example of Nina. At the same time, I'm saying she lost her mother. No, maybe the only way she knew how to cope up with that grief is to learn into alcoholism, you see. So I always tell people, and I always advise people, when you're dealing with people, the first thing is to understand people before you judge them. Two, effect of addiction. It depends also on what you're taking. Basically, as you're saying, addiction now, when you're saying that a person is addicted, he's already mentally sick. So addiction is a mental disorder. See, is actually in a category of its own. It has an effect on your physical health, because, for instance, if a person is abusing substances like alcohol will destroy your liver, alcohol will destroy your kidneys, alcohol will destroy your lungs, alcohol will destroy your heart. So it first of all starts with your physical health. Many of your physical organs are affected. And then ultimately to destroy your brain, that is your mental health. So we call that combination of illness we call psychosomatic condition, meaning psycho means the mind, and somatic from the word somata, which means the body. That's a Latin word for the body. So alcohol and substance abuse have created or basically give rise to what we call psychosomatic conditions. Yeah, you have physical conditions as well as mental conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those who are probably just beginning to engage as fun, you've heard from Dr. Kamau what would be facing you once you get into the addiction stage of it. And before we progress further, we would like to now take a few questions from members of our audience.
Hello.
Yes.
My name is Elle, and I have a question for Daktari. So some statistics show that men are more likely to commit suicide than ask for help. I wonder what factors you think contribute to that reality.
Maybe one more question before he takes.
My name is Farah Ibrahim, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Daktari for the input that was actually so informative. So I also wanted to know how can we identify the early stages of mental health? Thank you.
Thank you for that. Dr. do you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll start with, I think I'll be able to combine the two questions. Early stages of, I'll start with Mohammed. Farah. Yeah, Mohammed, I think I've a soft spot for warriors. I've spent most of my time, I think I was in Mandela, I was in Somali. I've soft spots. Actually have soft spot for those guys. So let me start with him, not from a bias point, but from a love point of view.
Yes.
It's general symptoms of mental conditions, or general symptoms. They are very, very general. Like, you know, issues of substance abuse is one of the symptoms of a person with a mental condition. When you see someone abusing substances, it is a symptom of an underlying condition. Issues of eating and sleeping habits, those are maybe eating too much or not eating, lack of appetite, sleeping and not sleeping, insomnia issues, those are symptoms. Issues of violence, you had Nina speaking about, which was agitation, temperamental, with violence, either physical violence or verbal violence. All those are symptoms. Ideally, very, very small things that we normally take for granted could be signs and symptoms of underlying mental conditions. Even issues of suicidal ideations. That's what I was saying. I wanted to connect that question with what Mohammed had asked. Suicidal issues have no bias. Whether it is a woman who has suicidal ideation or a man, the impact is the same. But suicidal ideation, or what we call ideations of self-destruction, are symptoms of a mental condition. Like for normally say when someone committed suicide, you know, there are all kind of myths and misconceptions about it. Religious people will say this person will never go to heaven, you know, all kind of nonsense. But the moment you understand a person committing suicide, it is the apex or the epitome of a highly mentally sick person. So suicidal issues, personally I would say they are not prejudiced, they are not biased. It's only that at times, yes, men don't know how to talk out. And even, you know, when a person is committing suicide, you can be talking with the person, and the person, you may, even though he or she is talking, you not know that you'll be committing suicide the next moment. So that's what I'm saying, suicide issues have no bias. But if you can go further and look at the symptoms of mental conditions are very many, but I've only touched on at the preliminary or the face value of it, just to give the audience some of these symptoms. Yeah, issues like what else? There are a number of them, but I want to bring them because for the interest of time. Social withdrawal. I think you had Nina. I think you're taking it from, you're learning it from Nina. You start withdrawing away from people. You see, not understanding that this person withdrawing away from people is a symptom. Social withdrawal is another symptom. So maybe issues, kids who have low performance in school, drastic drop of performance in school. It could be a symptom of a mental condition. Yeah. So there are many, but I've just highlighted a few that people can be able to understand.
Quickly, maybe Nina, you can take us through your journey of where you got help, where are you now, so that, you know, Dr. then can take up the point of, you know, is there hope for those who are like in the very bad stages of addiction? So please just tell us, like, briefly when you got help and how that has happened for you.
So in 2021, January, I went drinking with my friends, and then I got really high, and then I blacked out. So I woke up in the morning, I was at home, and my aunt was really worried. She called me to her room, and she told me that the previous night I had been brought by 6 men who wanted to gang rape me. But our watchman saw me and he knew me, he recognized me, so he called people and they came and rescued me. So that really raised an alarm for everyone, and they started talking to me and they encouraged me to go seek for help. So I was taken to Teen Challenge on 3rd of February. Teen Challenge is a rehabilitation center. It's along Kiambu Road. Yeah. So I went there on 3rd of February, and I just went through transformation. In Teen Challenge, they don't give you drugs to reduce the drugs that you're using like other rehabilitations do. They just cut off the drugs. You just go there and you just start afresh. They give you a chance to start afresh. You detox with water and food, and you stay there for 1 year. So I went there in 3rd of February 2021. I came out on 3rd of February 2022, and I've been out for 3 months. Okay. Yes.
Thank you for sharing that, Nina. Dr. quickly, as we begin to wind up this segment, what are the ways that someone can seek help when they find themselves, they are addicted? Is there hope? And what are some of the ways that, for maybe someone who is watching us and thinking, I want to get out of this, what are some of the ways that they can seek help?
Okay, well, we normally say one of the most difficult areas in psychiatry and mental health is issues of addiction, because many a times the patient are not even aware they're addicted. So there will be issues of fight. Some people can see that you need help, but you're not seeking for help. 2, they are based on different personalities. Some people will know that they have a problem and they'll cry for help. That's good of them, depending on one's personality. 3, because there are many approaches to the situation. Because remember, the situation is mental, and if someone is not aware that he's having a mental condition, to become very, very, very difficult. At the advanced stages, of course, there has to be confrontation. At times, a person is arrested, taken to the hospital. You are arrested and taken to the police station. There is no specific formula that you can apply. All we can say, different people have different approaches. I mean, different people have different approach, and different people have different response to the same problem. But it all depends. But if, for instance, especially to the young people, if you know you are starting on a certain behavior, before it catches up on you at a situation where it becomes irreversible, I think it's a high time that all we can say, please don't. For instance, e.g., I'm giving an example, like if you have never watched pornography to begin with, please don't even try to click that site. Don't try. There's no fun in it, because the moment you get into that, you click that button and you get access into that site. Reversing that problem becomes very, very, very difficult. If you have never tasted alcohol, please don't taste, because there's no fun in it. It's good that we have Nina here. She's a witness. I mean, she can be able to, she's not better to explain that. So I'm only saying, the only hope to addiction is, please, because I can't say that there are phases in addiction. Once you get addicted, I always say at times it takes God. For those of you who believe in Him, because not everybody who believes in God, and everybody is given to his or her own opinion. But we normally say it takes God for someone to come out of addiction. In most cases, medical interventions may fail. But it's only God who can take you out of that. So please, issues of addiction, whichever way, if you are there and you are starting on a certain behavior, kindly don't. And if you feel you need help, I think Nina has set a good example. You can cry for help, and you get help. That's my simple medical advice. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Kamau. We're so glad you could join us, Nina. Thank you so much. We continue to cheer you on your journey on sobriety. Keep it up, and yeah, we are really wishing you all the best. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Dr. Kamau, thank you so much for coming to the show and sharing your insight. This is a topic that we can discuss for hours and hours, but today we'll end it there. Don't go away. When we come back, we shall go into our next segment, whereby we have a performing artist by the name Kevin Mulela. So stick there, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
International Day of Drug and Illicit Trafficking.
Hiyo shada weka chini.
Hiyo tei weka chini.
Hiyo fegi weka chini.
Drop it. You know better. Better knowledge and better care. Don't hurt your neighbor and don't hurt your friends.
Remember, addiction is a disease just like any other. Don't be ashamed, don't be afraid, don't hesitate to ask for help. Reach out to Desta Compassionate Care Center. Neuro Counseling Center, or any other mental health practitioner for help. Thank you.
Steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion. Oh, steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train, oh Lord. Steady rocking on the midnight train to Zion. Hii maisha ni safari tunapita kama moshi, na kabla tuzame mchangani kuna kushinda na kufeli. Yo, inabidi ujijue tofauti ya mwalimu na mwanafunzi ni ujuzi na ujuaji. Oh, it's unbelievable. Oh, 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 undeniable. Oh, 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 it's so beautiful. No one can touch this fire. Yeah, oh, oh. He steady rocking. Oh, steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion. Oh, steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion.
Wow, what a riveting performance.
Proper
That
performance.
was amazing, beautifully done.
His name is Mulela.
Thank you so much, Mulela, for those two pieces that you did for us. It was very entertaining.
Yeah, and I've learned so much on the show, by
Yeah.
the way. I've had so much fun. It was actually very nice learning, hearing people's experiences
Yes.
with who are battling alcoholism and are recovering at the moment, and also from the expert.
Of course, we would really like to thank Nina and Mugambi for coming through and sharing their experiences with us, and not forgetting Dr. Kamau for those great insights that he shared on the show. Well, you've heard, folks, don't try it, just don't start it. That was really important.
I've also learned about the addictions. I didn't know like that relationship between addictions and the mental aspect of it and the substance abuse. I think it was very well explained by the doctor.
Yes, it was very important. And at this juncture, we would like to thank all our studio guests for being here with us. We would like to thank our audience at home. We would also like to thank all those who engaged with us on our social media platform. Keep beautiful Remember to keep using the hashtag
beautiful things.
Beautiful things.
Yes.
Great.
And
Please.
we'd also like to thank our sponsors and our guests.
Yes.
Always. We have
Thank
to
you
thank
very
our
much.
guests.
A huge thank you to Daystar University for making this possible, and also the entire crew. We could not have done this without you. We appreciate your work. Thank you very much for that.
Yes. So, fortunately, we've come to the end Oh boy.
Yes, sadly.
Yes.
Well, next week,
Same
you can
time.
tune in, same time, same station, for another engaging, informative session with us.
And
Thank
also,
you so much.
you can catch the reruns on YouTube because, you know, the world is going digital now. So you can catch the bits.
Check out our social media.
At Channel 7.
Thank you so much.
Have a lovely night.
Have a good evening.
Steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, oh,